So, you've been injured as a passenger in a car accident in Scotland. You've got rights, clear legal rights. But it's not always that simple, is it? There's a lot of confusion, maybe some hesitation, that can stop you from making a claim. Well, that's exactly what we're going to clear up in this explainer. And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? As the passenger, you have zero blame for what happened. None. So logically, your case should be the most straightforward one out there. But why do so many people who are absolutely entitled to compensation just never make a claim? What's stopping them?
Well, that brings us to something we can call the passenger's paradox. It's this really strange conflict, you know? On one hand, you've got this crystal clear legal right, but on the other, there's this really powerful hesitation to actually do anything about it.
Okay, so let's be super clear on this. From a legal standpoint here in Scotland, your position as a passenger is rock solid. I mean, think about it. You weren't deciding the speed, you weren't choosing the lane, you weren't making any of those split-second calls. Your innocence in the whole thing is pretty much always complete. It's unambiguous. And yet, here's the paradox in action. Even with the strongest legal case imaginable, passengers are often the least likely to actually pursue it. The roadblocks, they're not legal hurdles, they're human ones. They're all about our relationships and our worries. So let's dive in and bust some of the biggest myths that cause all this hesitation. All right, let's tackle myth number one. And honestly, this is the big one. It's the whole idea of claiming against a friend. This is without a doubt the number one reason people hesitate. I mean, the thought of suing someone you know and care about, it just feels wrong, doesn't it? And look, that worry is totally understandable. It can feel like a huge betrayal. But the reality of how these claims actually work is probably very different from what you're imagining. The whole system is actually designed to avoid this exact kind of personal conflict. So here's the crucial thing you need to know. Look at how the system is actually set up. Your claim, it's not against your friend personally. Not at all. It goes directly against their motor insurance policy. It's the insurance company that pays the compensation. This means your friend's own money, their house, their savings, none of that is ever at risk. And that's exactly why the law is written this way. Compulsory motor insurance isn't just a suggestion, it's the law in Scotland for every single driver. The system was literally created for this exact situation, to make sure injured people get compensation without blowing up friendships and family relationships. Okay, let's move on to the second big myth. This one pops up all the time when an accident isn't so black and white. You know, people worry that if the two drivers are pointing fingers and arguing about who's to blame, that their claim as the passenger is going to get stuck right in the middle of that mess. And it's a totally fair question, right? So let's say the car you were in and the other car both messed up at a junction. Does that fight between their insurance companies mean you get less money or that you have to wait forever to get paid? Okay, let's just picture this for a second. Imagine your driver's insurance says, yep, we're 50% to blame, and the other driver's insurance says the same thing. We'll take the other 50%. Now, the most important part of this whole picture is that last line. You, the passenger, you are 0% at fault. Zilch. So, what does that mean for your compensation? It means you are entitled to this. 100%. That's right, you can claim the full, complete value of your compensation from either one of those insurance companies. Now, this is possible because of a really important legal principle. It's called joint and several liability. Sounds complicated, but what it means for you is simple. You get your full compensation, and you don't have to wait. The insurance companies have to sort out who pays what percentage of the bill between themselves, but that happens after you've already been paid. Their argument does not affect your right to get what you're owed. Okay, so we've established that a passenger is almost never blamed for the crash itself. But there is one really important exception you need to know about. This is the one time where your own actions can actually change the amount of compensation you get. So, can a passenger ever be considered partly at fault? The answer is yes, and it almost always comes down to one simple thing: not wearing a seatbelt. The legal term for this is contributory negligence. And not wearing one can have a very real, direct financial cost. The courts have set out some super clear guidelines on this. If wearing a seatbelt would have completely prevented your injuries, you're looking at a 25% reduction in your compensation. If it would have just made them less severe, it's a 15% reduction. The takeaway here is pretty simple, right? Always, always wear your seatbelt. Okay, so we've busted a couple of big myths, and we've talked about that one major exception. So let's pull all this together. In this final section, we're going to talk about your rights and the practical steps you should take if this ever happens to you. So, when we talk about compensation, what does that actually cover? Well, it's usually split into two main parts. The first one has a fancy legal name, solatium, but it's basically for your pain and suffering and the impact the injury has had on your life. The second part is called special damages, and that's for all the direct financial stuff, lost wages from being off work, medical bills, even the cost of getting to your doctor's appointments. And here's your game plan, your path forward. It's just 3 simple steps. Step 1, and this is the most important thing, seek medical attention, not only for your health, but because it creates a vital record of your injuries. Step 2, while it's all still fresh in your mind, write down every single detail you can remember, vehicle registrations, witnesses, anything. And step 3, talk to a specialist solicitor. You want to get advice from someone who really understands these kinds of cases. So let's finish up with the most important thing to take away from all this. Those emotional barriers to making a claim, they're real, and they are completely understandable. But they are not legal barriers. The law in Scotland is crystal clear. If you've been injured as a passenger, you have a right to be compensated. It's a real, enforceable right, and it absolutely deserves to be pursued.